Ignite to impact.
Do you ever worry about the next steps in your career, business, or life? Do you wonder what you should do next? Or are you just uncertain about what to do next? Do you try to figure out what would be the very best thing for you to do? We want to get answers, tips, and advice on how to deal with these questions and more in today's conversation about secrets to taking a step forward each day during difficult times. Welcome. I'm Dr. Geneva, your podcast host, bringing insightful conversations with successful people to inspire you to create extraordinary impact in your business, in your everyday personal life, and in the community. So, if you like the conversations that we have, please give me a like and tell your friends and just listen and download to these podcasts and conversations. You can find Dr. Geneva Speaks podcast on all the platforms wherever you like to listen to your favorite podcasts. So, this whole conversation about how to move forward with next steps, with the right steps during difficult times, is a big conversation, particularly during this pandemic. Though I must admit that right here, right now, I'm kind of feeling, okay, we've been in pandemic. It's true. The newest thing we've experienced, none of us, at least nobody I know, has ever experienced this before. But, it's been going on for a while now, and there's some things we need to focus our attention on how to figure out the next steps. And figuring out what to do next, I think, is always a really important conversation because, frankly, we are faced with challenges and obstacles and opportunities at every stage and phase of our life. So, yes, pandemic is new, and I'm going to tell you, the first couple of weeks, I was scared and frightened and highly anxious, and I'm not through with all of those emotions even today. But I do know that I've been, in different times of my life, I have been anxious. I've been fearful. I've been uncertain about what to do next. And there was no pandemic. It was just life. So I thought it would be important for us to have a conversation about whatever phase we're in, whatever time of our life that we're seeing, how do we move forward? And how can we move forward? And what can we do each and every day to make a difference in our life? And so I brought someone to, I'm always bringing you fabulous folks, successful people who have really good information and who are passionate and who are really authentic. And so today I have with me Kim Boudreau Smith, who I'm telling you, throughout her decades of careers and just doing wonderful things and having a lot of job descriptions and in a variety of industries, she's achieved success because she pays attention to and develops her bold voice. Oh, this is just phenomenal. I'm just so excited to talk to her about that. And she provides support and encouragement coupled with the practical aspect of strategies and tools to help women develop their own bold voice, as she has experienced and been through, and all of the challenges, helps her be someone who can show and guide women to how they can show up in the world all through their voice. And we often refer to her as the multimedia maven because she's experienced, she's been on a lot of platforms and a lot of stages. And she was a dancer when she was young, and she was on international stage. And she's been a former radio show station owner and host of a weekly show to a global audience, not just locally, but globally around the world. And she's always on podcasts and different things. And she's an author. She's a speaker. She was in the fitness business. So she's just done so many things. And I'm so delighted that she has the time to be with us today and bring her real, raw, and truly honest, authentic voice to us and help us step into our own bold voice. So welcome, Kim.
Well, thank you, Dr. Geneva. And gosh, thank you so much. That was such a beautiful introduction. And I really appreciate that. And thank you for having me here today.
Thank you. Well, it was all real deal because, I only bring to my listeners folk that I know can bring it in authentic ways and really can, deliver gems that we can all use. So I am so delighted to be with you. Let me ask you first, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I was listening to your introduction and, how you were experiencing, the anxiety and a bit of overwhelm when we went into this pandemic. I have to tell you, I experienced such calmness. There was something so surreal because I'm a big walker. I'm out walking every day, take my one dog out, and there was something so peaceful when I was out walking. There was no cars. There's nothing eerie about it at all. It was just so peaceful. Now that we've been in shelter in place, so to speak,
yes.
What is it, 5-6 months? It's a totally different topic now. I'm saying I'm dealing with some functional depression and, not knowing the next steps and, there's a lot going on, but overall, I'm okay. I really am okay.
I just really appreciate you sharing that with us because so often we, particularly as women, we'll just go along and, we're carrying the world on our shoulders and we're, and we, do our thing and we don't share those, those very real emotions and challenges that we're facing. And so I appreciate hearing, and it's so interesting about how you, as you were saying, you was walking and you was doing stuff, before pandemic. And I was just talking to a leader in the healthcare field who was talking about, the best way to prepare for times like these is to have pre-prepared for times like these. And so that having someone like you talk to us about how do you discover your bold voice and take a step forward, let's talk about that. So what do you think? How do we take step forwards?
Well, it's sometimes it could be easier said than done, and sometimes it can be easier done than all the talking that does take place, especially in a very intense, noisy society right now on social media. And I do believe, a week or two ago, you and I were talking on the phone, and I was saying, I need to get back up on the horse because I've held my bold voice back from some things behind the scenes that I was grieving and going through and, changing some things up. But then I said to you, I don't want to hop on that horse. I want to do a pony. And then you laughed and said, how about if we just take a step? And we do. We just need to take a step. And one of the things I do every day is I commit to one thing to move myself and my business forward. And as you and I are sitting here today talking, I took all my services of my business about 2 months ago and put them in a box and said, I'm going to shake this box, turn it upside down, and what services that don't fall to the floor I'll keep. Well, they all fell to the floor. So I'm in the midst of revamping everything right now. So I've had to take one step at a time and say, okay, join that mastermind. Okay, today it's start preparing for the prep of the mastermind. Tomorrow it's maybe you add some more sentences to the book you are writing, Kim. And because okay, let's do it. We're going to get it all done by 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. Yes. And I've found that being in this shift that we are in, it was depleting my energy by being that driven person that I am. So one of the things that I did, just yesterday, and I do this periodically, is I allowed myself to pause, go out in the family room, and lay down and close my eyes for 20 minutes.
Okay. So you took a break.
I took a break. Yes, I did. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Take a break. And that that's wonderful. And so you did it for about like 20 minutes. And it's such a simple tip, but I bet you there are people listening to our conversation right now where that is a hard thing to do. Where you just stop and you tell the world, hey, I'm going to stop and I'm just going to go to my room and I'm just going to, or wherever, and I'm just going to sit and be quiet and take a break.
Yes.
How do you do that, Kim? You say you wake up, and I love it. You wake up every morning and you say, I'm going to do one thing to move me to my business. You say, I'm going to stop in the middle of the day and I'm going to take a break. How do you get to that point? How do you do that?
Well, I have little notes and reminders all over my desk because I don't do well stopping and taking breaks. So I've got my little notes here, my index card. I have a strong mantra that I'm working with right now. And that mantra, I'm pausing to cite that mantra to myself 3 times a day. Now, am I there yet? No, I'm not there. I did it twice yesterday.
Okay.
That's helping me pause, but it also helps me when I need to lay down and close my eyes for 15, 20 minutes, especially summer, it's summer. I mean, it's beautiful. We could do it outside and get some fresh air. That is internal self-care. That's major self-care. And for me personally, that helps me fight off. We're going into cold and flu season, fights off those colds and flus. And I also have that dialogue. And this to me is the boldest voice ever, is that internal dialogue of going, Kim, it's okay for you to rest for 15, 20 minutes. It's okay for you to rest for an hour if that's what it takes.
Or all day. No, and I mean, because, one of the things during these times, and I remember that I used to do it, I don't remember when, but I do remember that I used to do it every now and then, where I just said, I'm just going to just take the whole day. You just take the whole day and do nothing. And, but that's hard. It's really hard to do because I always have this feeling that I need to be doing something. And if I'm not doing something, I'm not productive. And if I'm not productive, it's not meaningful and all of those things. And I guess I had to kind of shift my thinking as to really what was meaningful. What is meaning and what's meaningful to my day? Do you find that as you try to figure out what you do with your day or your week, that you're trying to search for or figure out meaning?
I know I'm very intentful on knowing the meaning. So, if I am taking a day off, I look at that as being very productive because I'm taking care of myself or doing things where I'm losing track of time because we're such a time BUSY oriented society. So when I can get into some things where I'm losing track of time, whether it's a longer walk than normal in with nature, which really is one of my biggest jives for myself is getting out there in nature, so I can see wildlife, or whether it's taking that time out to go get a manicure or just to sit or have a conversation, a non-professional conversation, just reaching out in a conversation, that is very productive.
And so how does a bold voice help us take a step forward each day during particularly difficult times?
Well, I'm going to come back around to, like I said, the boldest voice of that inner critic. Here's my analogy.
Okay.
We are going to go see Hamilton, downtown Detroit, at the Fisher Theater. And you and I are sitting in the chairs, and we're on the one side of the stage of the curtain, and we're waiting for that curtain to lift, that beautiful purpley blue velvety curtain to lift for the production to begin. However, there's a lot that goes on behind that curtain before that curtain lifts. And that's part of the bold voice. We need to manage what goes on behind that curtain of our lives before coming out to that stage. So it could be something like, oh, you can't sit down. You're not being productive. You've got to work and grind this in order to be successful, which being business owners, it's not about a grind. When I even need to say the word grind, I think I'm like dragging my knuckles on the concrete. Yes. Ouch. So that is a lot of the work of daily that I do personally and daily that I do with clients. And a lot of the stuff that I teach in my speaking courses is managing that behind that curtain. Whether it's that inner critic saying, oh, you can't speak because every time you do, you get crackly voice and you start to sweat. Well, first of all, we may be perspiring. That's part of our sensations. But is it really true our voice is cracking? So it's literally getting on in there and managing that. So I do a lot of that management, and it looks, trust me, it's so far from perfection. Every morning I wake up over my cup of coffee. I mean, I'm doing my scriptures. Sometimes I will write. Sometimes I just read a book. Sometimes I just sit there with my coffee and just take in the moment. Those are the steps that we learn to become more stronger as we show up and present in own rooms and stages with our bold voice. And those are the skills that to help us become stronger and get over other people's opinions and that lack of self-worth. That's a lot of the behind the stage, that behind that curtain work that we all need to do, and it is never perfect.
I just love that perspective you have about, and it's very graphic, it's very visual, because as you were talking about it, that image just came in my mind of, just sitting and waiting for some fabulous performance or show. And we all have at one time or another been to a theater, been to a show, been to a play where we're waiting and there's a curtain or we're waiting for the thing to begin, and what's happening behind the scenes is just a totally different world than what we're seeing sitting in the audience. And I love that imagery that you've, given us, that we need to focus on what goes on behind that curtain. And really, that's where the work, that's where the work occurs. I think I hear that's what you're saying.
Yes.
That's where we have to invest the time and the energy. So Kim, when we talk about behind the curtain, behind the, in the background back there, are we talking about ourselves? Is that what we mean when we say behind the curtain? We're talking about the work we have to do within and of ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. And there's a lot of things. I mean, think about a production. I mean, there's the stage presence, and then there's, all the turning, the spokes to the wheel, all the pieces to the puzzle that takes place. Because if any of us are walking in, and you and I, when we are allowed to be out there networking, we are out there. We are networking. A lot of women will show up. They stumble over their introduction. So hence they're missing opportunities. They're losing part of their audience of that theater, or they're playing small and they're feeling that they're not worthy to be at that table when we are all worthy to be at that table. But we might have to do some things behind the curtain before we arrive to that.
And so give us the 1, 2, 3 things behind the curtain we should be doing to get ready to, for that curtain to rise and we step out on the stage, we step forward. What are 1, 2, 3 things we should be doing to get ready?
Gosh, I love, first of all, I love having mantras, and I've got them around my office. I put them on index cards, so I carry them with me. They're in my purse. They're in my car. I love having mantras. I also love taking those mantras and putting them on the mirror and looking in the mirror and literally not just talking to myself, but I feel like I'm talking to the world when I look into that mirror, which is a great way to practice speaking and presenting.
Oh, yeah. So can you give us an example of one of the mantras or affirmations that you use that works for you?
Yes. In fact, this is my new one. And I got this is my new one. And I'm borrowing this from my coach. So her name is Alexia Vernon. And I want to give her.
All right. We want to give her a shout out to Alexia.
Yep.
All right.
Gotta give credit where credit is due. So my current mantra that I'm working on is money flows to me and grows for me with ease and in abundance.
So I like that, how it started off. Money grows or flow. Was it flows or grows?
Flows. Money flows.
Money flows. All right. That's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was something that you got from a coach. Is there, so let's say I don't have a coach. How do you create a mantra? I guess that's, how do you create a affirmation that you use your voice to practice and say, and it becomes bolder? And how do you do that? What do you do?
Well, it's determining what it is that you are seeking. If it's more confidence or confidence in general, or, stronger worth, or if you're dancing around money or whatever, that's where I take an index card and I have this cup full of Papermate Flare markers, and I write out what that topic is. So for this case, it's money. And I'm seeking to open up my doors to have money flow to me. And I want this with ease because, again, I'm a go-getter. But I want this with ease and abundance. So those are my 3 things. I want it to flow. I want it with ease. So it's just sitting down and creating that. A lot of people will do, besides I'm more of a mantra than a positive affirmation, but positive affirmations are amazing. And as long as you're doing the positive affirmation of, I am a confident, outstanding person, not I am a confident person one of these days, next week, where you're adding the buts and the explanations. So,
you state it as if it is already true and happening. I am. Yeah. I do believe that. And then, I've just got to take a moment. So there's a difference. Help me. There's a difference between a mantra
Yes.
And an affirmation?
Yes. Usually affirmations begin with I am.
I see. Okay.
I am ... And a mantra is mainly around the topic and putting in some more of those beautiful words, like my coach did and shared hers. This money flows.
I see. Okay.
As opposed to I am a six-figure earner and very wealthy. Putting that out. So the mantra is more, money flows. So another suggestion for your listeners is you can always Google, a mantra or an affirmation, or we can always find some books on those too.
Yes. And I love that. And it just seems that when we talk about a mantra or an affirmation, it's really, it's almost like this, we see our future state. I mean, we have this idea of ourselves, our idealized state, our vision of what we want to be. Yes. And or what we want to happen, or stating. And so if we want to be happier, we say, I am happy. I mean, that's kind of what I'm hearing in terms of, and I know I tried to do in terms of a mantra or affirmation, but I love how there's a distinction between the two, and I love it. And so I want to use mantras and affirmations, both of them. So what other secrets can you share with us, Kim, about taking a step forward? And let me just ask you, do you think planning works in any of this as we're thinking about, if we're kind of uncertain about what to do next? How does planning or figuring out goals or vision or outcomes, does any of that play into helping us take a step forward?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm a big proponent on, first of all, is just get real intimate with your why. I mean, why are you doing all this? Because, it's very easy when we get a few eye rolls or tremendous, a lot of no's, because it takes a lot of no's before we get to that one yes sometimes, that we can just go, instead of a why, I just say, why not? And we can just quit or pack it away or head towards the burnout or whatever. So getting very intimate with your why and the purpose of all of this, know your avatar. Know your avatar so intimately. And I'm saying the word avatar right now, singular. It's okay to have a couple avatars. I work with 2 avatars. So
help our listeners, for those who might know, what's an avatar?
Avatar is your ideal client.
Okay.
Who are you going after? Because if you're entering a room and showing up so beautifully strong with that beautiful elevator pitch, you're ready to rock and roll, and you've got your bold voice all out there, but you're in front of a whole wrong group of an audience, you're going to leave empty-handed. So know your audience, know your ideal client. Your avatar will lead you to the audience. So know your audience. And, I'm not a big, huge planner, but yes, there is planning involved. Like right now, I'm in the midst of developing 2 new programs, and there's a lot. One program won't be launched until next year, and the smaller program, hopefully here I will have things wrapped up within the next 90 days. I've got to write content out, which I don't like to do. And I am not good at that. So there's content, and I'm getting clear with my avatars. I've had to change my avatars. It's all of that. And yes, and knowing Dr. Geneva, I loved what you did back in January at your event, the value workshop. Oh my gosh, know your values, know your and you don't have to take it down to the top 3. Know at least your top 5 values when you're doing all of this.
I love it. Get intimate with your why. Oh my goodness. That is just knowing your purpose, I find, is I just love it that, you give that to us as helping us take steps forward when we're uncertain about what to do next. Spending some time to go inside of ourselves and discovering, rediscovering, confirming, reconfirming, whatever stage you're at, your purpose, your why for being in business or your life or having your career, whatever it is, but knowing your purpose, knowing your why, and then knowing it, and then set about the business of living in your purpose. And that kind of takes us to the next step. That's what I'm hearing. Oh, I just love it. I often, one of my favorite movies, and I went to this because of my kids, but, I think I've run into so many adults that love the Frozen movies. And in Frozen 2, there's this whole scene where I think it's Anna. I sometimes get the characters. I'm just so into the movie, I don't know the names of all the characters. But anyway, I think it's Anna. So those who are Frozen 2 fans, if I get it wrong, I'm sorry. Drop me a note on my podcast and give me the right information. Okay. But I think it's Anna. She's lost everybody. Or she thinks she has, and she's totally alone. And there's this song that I play constantly. I love it, about her journey to figure out what to do next. And her next really is taking the next, I think it's the next right step. And I love how you talk about just wake up every morning and just do one thing.
Yes.
Yeah. It makes it seem so simple and not overwhelming.
Yes. We complicate things. We really do.
Yeah.
We as a human race complicate things. And that's because I feel, Dr. Geneva, we have got so many things coming at us. It's, for an example, my iPhone, every time I talk to someone, they're like, you don't have that app. And it's like, no, I don't need all this. I would be spending the whole day on my phone with these apps trying to figure out what app do I need for to open up an app.
I love it. Well, Kim, you have just given us just an earful of really, really great things. And, everything from just wake up in the morning and do one thing. Or, think about, just take that one step to move forward. But the take a break, a pause, I think is a big one, because it not only gives your body a rest, but I think it gives your mind and your spirit a breather, and you can think more about the future and taking care of yourself and how we, need to and should do it. And, this love affair you have with nature, I think all of us could, profit and bring from that it's there and it's out there for the taking. And even in the midst of COVID, we can, in fact, go outside of our house most of the time and we can take advantage. But the biggest thing about what happens behind the curtain and how we need to get ourselves together with mantras and affirmations, and how we can, get books and Google things and searches and while we're behind the curtain, make sure we get intimate with our whys. Oh my gosh, that is so, we could put that on a bumper sticker. Get intimate with your why. Oh, please.
Let's do that.
Do that. And, we do complicate things. But one thing I know that as we're winding down, I try not to complicate for myself is my feelings of gratitude. And I just want to ask you, what are you grateful for?
Oh gosh, I'm grateful for so much. And if I'm going to answer this back 12 years ago when I was 48, I fell asleep at a major intersection here, 14 Mile and Woodward, in the middle of the day. not once, but twice. And so I was taking myself down with my internal dialogue. And what I did the next morning, the first thing I did to start changing myself up was I get up very early, 4:45, 5 a.m. in the morning. And I opened up my eyes and I looked at the ceiling above me and went, wow, thank you so much for that drywall above my head. I had to start there with the most simplest things. But, I'm so grateful today in this moment for my health. I'm safe, and both my husband and I, through all of this, we've been able to continue to work. And I am so grateful for all the new friends that I've connected with in this past year since I've joined NABO, and you being one of them, Dr. Geneva. I'm just so grateful to have women in my life that, if I'm losing sight of the gratefulness and that intention of my why and all of that, I can pick up the phone and say, I need to talk for a minute. I got to hear myself out loud. I need to talk. I'm going crazy. I'm going down a hole here, So I'm so grateful for all of that.
Yes, and we're grateful for you, and I appreciate you, Kim Boudreau Smith, so much, and being together with you on various associations and organizations like NABO, which is the National Association for Women Business Owners, is my honor and pleasure. And you just bring it every day. That's why I wanted to have you talk with me and my listeners about how we can take a step forward each day during these difficult times, and we can do it with a bold voice, and the challenge and the opportunity for us is to find that bold voice. I just thank you so much for you coming and dropping your gems and sharing your bold voice with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This is just a pleasure.
Yes. And for all my listeners, again, I say to you, I'm going to bring it to you. I'm going to bring the authentic, real deal folk who, just leave us with insights and strategies and tips. And so again, if you would if you do like what you hear, listen more and more, tell your friends about it. And remember that I've put together some books on why worry and staying positive, and it gives all kinds of tips and advice and things that you can do to reduce worry and anxiety and always stay positive. And you can get that and much more by going and visiting me at my website at drgenevaspeaks.com, DRGENEVA Speaks. SPEAKS.com. Come on over there, get my ebooks, but more importantly, join my email community. I'd love to stay in touch with you that way and through this podcast. And so tell your friends, whether they just want some better results in their life or in their career, or they want to hear some great leadership advice, or just want to be inspired to make good things happen. This is the podcast. Dr. Geneva Speaks. Thank you for a better world and a legacy that matters.
Ignite to impact.